process like that. And I'm gonna do this for the whole background. Oops, I'm glad I took my nails off. I painted at my church Saturday for Easter Sunday and I ruined my nails. I ended up having to take them off because they were black underneath because I used black paint. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna go back and just smooth over this and wipe over it a little bit. Here we go. And I think I'm gonna go with like some simple, just white letters. Not gonna get too crazy. Maybe doing the "my" a different color. Because I'm gonna paint the flowers in. So, you know, kind of just wanna keep it very simple and neutral. I might do the "my" in gray. Like a dark gray maybe, or a light gray. I don't know, we'll see. I ain't decided yet. Okay, so we got that stain on there and it's nice and smooth. Looks good. All right, I'm just gonna lay that to the side while we work on the letters. I really need to get my paintbrushes washed. All right, let's just go ahead and put a coat of white on all of the letters, the big letters. I wanna do my different color, just because I think it'll look good. You know what? My white paint is not up here. It's in my garage where I took it to my church. Imagine that. So we're gonna have to use it from the big container. That's okay. All right, so we're gonna start by just painting a coat of white on our letters. I'm kind of thinking I might go with just like a white wash, like not make it like super, I don't know. Just have to see. I don't really like this brush though. I think it's too big. I think it is too big. Let me get a smaller one. I'm a struggle bus today. Can't get with it. Can't get with it. Sorry. So, I'm so organized over here in Painted Up Land. So organized. Honestly, in a perfect world, if I wasn't doing this for a video, I would spray paint these with white paint because it makes it a whole lot easier and quicker. And because I cannot stand having to paint 8 million coats of white paint on something. So if you do letters, it just goes a lot smoother. I may end up stopping the video and doing that just because, why not? I don't know. We'll see. But I like to use the spray paint because it just makes it go by so much faster. And it doesn't take near as long to paint the sign. Especially if you're painting them to sale, it's a whole lot easier than trying to do each individual letter one by one by one. So there you go. So I want you to kind of see, you know, the process though. You can also use a sponge dabber. I've used that in the past. That does make it go a little bit faster and put it on a little bit thicker too. And I'll show you with that. Let me grab a sponge and just show you the process with that. It does make it a little bit faster and it puts it on just a little bit thicker too. It's really just a personal preference what you like to do better. I like to do the white because it gives it just a, with the spray paint, because I know it's gonna cover really good and I'm not gonna have to put multiple coats. but you can do it this way too. And it will give it a little bit of a thicker coat. So that's one good thing about the sponge, is you do get a little bit of a thicker coat and it goes a little bit faster. So you just have to also be mindful that if you do it with that technique, you're gonna get sort of like this, you know, sort of textured look to it, which that doesn't really bother me, but you know, some people don't like that because I'm dabbing, but it's really just a preference. You can go back and smooth it out after you do it, but it does kind of make it not cover as well. So, and some of that stippling sort of look goes away as, you know, it dries too. So that's just a preference thing. But it just shows you some different and easy ways to do letters, especially when you have these dimensional letters that you want to paint. I mean, and I love signs both ways. I like, you know, dimensional lettering, and I like, you know, just leaving it, not having those pop out letters, I guess you could call it, letters popping off. But I think for someone that doesn't feel comfortable painting, it is a lot easier to do the dimensional letters. Okay. There we go. All right, and I'm just gonna come back over these right here with the next coat, so it'll sort of match the other ones. Okay. And I think I'm gonna do just like a little cute flower, and I cut holes in this one, but you know, if you didn't want holes, you could, if you buy the SVG file, you can just, you know, take the holes off, because you may want to just hang it or display it without holes, and that's an option too. Okay, and I probably will have to go back with a second coat, but for right now we're just going to let that sit. I think I'm going to do this with gray. Okay. And some of you may say, well, gray and brown don't mix, but it does in my world. I like gray and brown together. I just gotta find my gray in my pile of paint over here. Here we go. Let's put a little bit in our box here. Okay. And I'm just gonna paint it with some gray. Keeping it kind of simple. Simple, keeping it simple. Okay, and then I have two flowers that we need to paint while that white dries. So let's go in with, I think I'm gonna do the center white. So I'm just gonna go ahead and paint the center white. Or I might do the center yellow, but I think I'm gonna do the flowers pink. So I just went ahead and just painted that in. That makes it a little bit easier for me than trying to do it later. All right, so we're gonna do some pink on the flowers, and I'm just gonna go in and just paint in the lines here. to do the flowers the same, only because I feel like it'll look weird if they're different. So, but you do you, boo. If you want them to be different, you can. I'm gonna keep them the same. And I'll add some little green leaves and greenery on here. Okay, so here is our cute little flowers, and then we're gonna do green for the leaves. So let's do like this green, like just a regular green, and then maybe like a darker green. And I'm just gonna use this. I'm actually gonna mix a little bit of gray in with that green so to tone it down just a little bit, because I feel like it's like very punchy. It's very bright, and I don't want it to be too bright. And then I'm going to use a darker green for the greenery. And I'm going to also add some little details on the leaves and, you know, all that. But for now, we're just painting in the colors. And then I'm going to use this dark green here for kind of like that little greenery spot on the my lids are always clogged, just so y'all know. I say that probably every time I paint on a video, but I just want to remind you, they're always clogged until I take the time to clean them out when I clean my studio up. Okay, so I'm just putting a coat of that darker green on here. And I actually just got the excess light green off my brush and then went straight to the dark green. Like, I try to use as little as brushes as possible when I'm painting. So, because I already got 8 million to wash that I haven't washed. So, there we go. Okay. All right, so we have our like base coats. Now I do need to do a second coat on the white again, just because it does need an extra coat. And I need to do the centers yellow. So we'll get some yellow paint and do that. And then we will be almost finished and ready to put this together. Super exciting. That's my favorite part, is putting it together, you know, and seeing it finished and then going, oh, well, I don't really like that, so let me change that. Because that's what I do a lot. Be like, let's add this here, or take this away, or do this. So, all right, so we got yellow on that, and then we're gonna do yellow on this one. Just really simple. This is an easy one to paint. It doesn't have a, you know, but the pieces are not too hard and complex, and so that's always a good thing. So we're gonna let that dry. And I'm going to come back and do a little extra coat on my, you know though, I'm kind of thinking like, I don't know. Yeah, let's just go ahead and do it. And on these, I'm not quite sure what color I want to do these little pieces that like are on the beside the my. I don't know if I want to go with white or if I want to do a color. Because probably do white. I feel like white's going to be the best option. I feel like if I do a color, it's going to look weird. So we're going to stick with white, and then we can always change it if we get it and we get it glued down and we're like, ugh, that looks bad. We can redo it. So there you go. Okay, these little pieces I probably should have taped down because I'm gonna have paint all over me. But what's new? I always got paint all over me. Literally got paint on my Easter dress Sunday. I was carrying it. I had washed my hands and everything, and apparently I had a little spot of paint on me somewhere, and which is how it works around here. And I ended up getting paint on my Easter dress. It didn't come out. But a lot of times it just depends on the material. I'm gonna wash it and treat it. I washed it out some in the sink, but I don't know. It's in the back. Nobody's gonna see it. It'll be fun. That's just the motto I have to have, you know? Nobody's gonna know. So I'm just going in and doing a really quick, like, second coat on these. Just to get some good coverage on it. Make sure that they're covered really good and that they look good. I don't want them to look janky. So I'm going in with just a good coat of paint on there where it missed in some spaces. Because that happens. Okay. Alright, so we got all that painted. Good deal. I'll go back and put a little bit more white on that. That needs probably time to dry. Okay, so I do need to dry these, okay, and then I'm gonna dry everything, and then we will come back and we will get everything attached to the backer board, okay? Okay, so I went in and got all of these. I kind of took my, while I was drying, I took my white little sponge and just sort of went in and added like some distressing on the flowers. I don't know why, I just thought it needed it, and I'm sorry I didn't record that, but like it just needed like a little something. So I just used a very dry sponge and just went around and sort of drug in a little bit of white on that. I forgot I was recording. I'm just over here just steady painting like I get all the time in the world, you know? Not even thinking. I gotta show these people. All right, so then I'm gonna go in and I'm just gonna do like a little squiggly line around the inside of the flower part like that. Okay, and then I'm going to go in and just trace out my petals. And I'm gonna add some little details on the leaves, do the little outline and the centers for those. And then I'm just gonna trace around the outside edge of these little things on the edge. And so you can kind of see how I did that. I'm gonna do the same thing for both of them. This is just to kind of make the I just want to try to make the flowers look a little cuter, you know. And y'all know I love them black outlines. And then I'm just going to go in and do the same thing for this one. And I'm not being real fancy, but I just want to create a little outline for everything with the black. Like so. There you go. All right. And now I want to grab up all of my little letters and all the things so we can lay them out and place our pieces on top for gluing. So there's that. Then we're going to say, oops, we're going to say that that is that. Ritz. Okay. I think they're both the same size, but no, I think this one goes here. Well, no, maybe they're both the same size. I don't know. They look like they both match, but I thought I did them both the same size, but let's see. Let's measure these S's. Yeah, they are the same. Okay. Then we're going to put a flower up top and then a flower at the bottom. And then we're going to do our little pieces here. Of course, your flowers can be painted whatever color you want to paint them, but I just went with pink. And there is our cute little sun. How stinking adorable is that? Oh my gosh. And I'm going to do a little bit of distressing around the edge with maybe some black, but let's first glue everything down and then we can come in and do that, okay? So we'll do all of our like gluing first and then we can come back and do the other. Ah! Gosh. Okay. Again, I don't close my glue either. And I love Gorilla Wood Glue. It's my favorite. You're gonna see me use it probably every time I glue anything because I just love it so much. And I've told you in the past, it doesn't dry clear, but as long as you don't get a bunch on there and you don't like let it ooze out the sides, it's good. I just kind of trace over my letters like this and bam, it's good. Especially when I have the bigger letters like that, it's just really easy to go in the lines and add my glue in. Like that. Now on the smaller pieces, sometimes I will paint that on just because I don't want to get it all over the place. But this works really good for when you have bigger pieces or bigger letters. You can paint the back of the letter or you can do it right on the board. As you can see, sometimes I go back and forth. Sometimes I like the board, sometimes I like the piece. It really just depends. And sometimes you'll have it ooze out, especially if you have smaller pieces. Don't stress over that. Just go in and clean it up with a paintbrush. Like right here, I'm painting these, I've got these smaller pieces, and sometimes it wants to come out a little faster. So I might have to, and sometimes I'll just put a little bit on my table or on a tray and do that. And that makes it a little bit easier too. Because you don't need a lot on small pieces because they're not heavy. It's easy just to put you a little bit of glue on there and go with it. And then I'm gonna do the my, and I'm just gonna use my all right. And this one has a little bit of oozing, but we'll clean that up. A little bit of oozing. That sounds like a medical like thing, like there's something. It sounds kind of gross. Okay. And then sometimes you have those times where you like don't get it exactly where you want it and you have to fix it and, you know, move it around. No worries. And unless it's like a big gunk of glue, I just take an old brush and just go in and clean it up a little bit. All right, so I know that I want to do my, I want to distress the edges, okay? And I actually could do it dark, but I kind of like the idea of maybe doing it white. So let's take the white and let's go around the edge like this with a little bit of white paint. And I'm just using my sponge brush that I used to paint the letters, okay? And I'm just going in around the edge and giving it a nice little like edge around it. I think this just kind of finishes it off. And okay. And you can do as much or as little as you want. But I think that just finishes off the sign. And I love how that turned out. Now you can also like, and this is just a personal preference, but you can also like distress your, I'm gonna put a little brown on this sponge, and I'm actually gonna try to get as much of the paint out of it as I can. And then I'm gonna go in and I can actually distress a little bit of my letters too, to kind of just add a little bit of a different, so they're not just so stark white. And you can do as much or as little of the distressing as you want. It's really just preference. And you can decide that you don't want to do that at all, and that's perfectly fine too. And I could have used gray. I can use brown. I'm using the brown just because that's what I grabbed first, but you can also use the gray. And I could even add like a little bit of the white or brown onto this too. So it's just kind of having fun with it. And it's not really noticeable, but you can see it a little bit when it's in person. So, all right, so that is our Kiss My Grits sign. I can't talk today. And I'm gonna put a bow on it, and I'll share the finished product at the end. So you can see it with the bow, and I hope you have a great day, and thanks for watching.